In any gathering, there's often one man who stands out, not because he's the loudest or most assertive, but because of his quiet confidence. He doesn't seek attention. Attention finds him. His presence is felt, not forced. Consider a corporate meeting where discussions are intense and voices compete. Amidst the noise, one individual remains composed, listening intently, speaking only when necessary. Yet when he does, the room listens. His insights are concise, his demeanor calm. He doesn't dominate the conversation. He elevates it. This is the hallmark of a high-value man. He doesn't rely on overt displays of dominance or alpha posturing. Instead, he exudes a subtle authority rooted in self-assurance and respect for others. His confidence isn't about overpowering, it's about empowering. In social settings, he's the one who makes others feel seen and heard. He asks thoughtful questions, listens more than he speaks, and offers genuine compliments. People are drawn to him, not because he demands it, but because he earns it. This approach isn't about manipulation, it's about authenticity. It's about understanding that true influence comes from within, not from imposing oneself on others. By mastering this subtle art, high-value men naturally command respect and take control of any room they enter. When a high-value man enters a room, people notice, often without understanding why. He doesn't rush, he doesn't adjust his energy to match others. Instead, he remains centered. And that begins with body language. Posture is the foundation. Standing tall with your shoulders relaxed and your chest open signals strength without aggression. It says you're comfortable in your own skin. No puffed up posing, no exaggerated stance. Just grounded, deliberate posture. In a high-level client meeting, one man leans forward, tapping his pen, fidgeting with his collar. Another sits back slightly, arms resting calmly, chin level. Everyone naturally defers to the calm one, not because he says more, but because he controls his presence. Movement matters just as much. Quick, erratic gestures hint at anxiety or lack of confidence. High-value men move with intent. Whether it's adjusting a chair, picking up a coffee cup, or turning to address someone, every movement has purpose. In a boardroom or at a dinner party, they don't fumble or flinch. They act, then rest. Facial expression is your silent signature. A composed face with minimal micro-expressions communicates control. You're not suppressing emotion. You're choosing not to over-display it. During a heated debate, the high-value man doesn't smirk, sneer, or overreact. He observes, absorbs, and responds when ready. That restraint is powerful. Eye direction completes the nonverbal framework. High-value men don't scan a room nervously. Their eyes rest purposefully. On people, on details, on what matters. They don't avoid eye contact, but they don't seek it constantly either. They understand that a brief, well-timed glance often says more than a stare. Even positioning in a room is strategic. They don't hover near exits or crowd the spotlight. They take a spot that offers visibility without signaling neediness. Think of a host at his own event, present, engaged, but never competing for attention. These small physical choices don't just reflect confidence, they shape how others behave around you. When you master body language, you don't have to dominate. You already lead by example. Before we continue, a quick ask. If you're enjoying this breakdown of high-value presence, consider subscribing. I'm working toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support means more than you know. Let's keep going. Eye contact is one of the most direct ways a high-value man establishes presence. It's not just about looking, it's about how, when, and why you choose to lock eyes. The right kind of eye contact reflects confidence without needing to prove anything. It's steady, but not intense, engaged, but never aggressive. Think of the executive who listens during a pitch. He holds your gaze when it matters, then shifts focus calmly, not to avoid, but to process. That balance makes people feel acknowledged and respected, without pressure. In conversation, well-timed eye contact can signal leadership. When you're speaking, holding someone's gaze for a few seconds at key points shows certainty. When you're listening, maintaining soft focus helps you remain connected. It says, I'm here, I'm focused, I'm grounded. Too much eye contact becomes domination. It feels like a challenge. Too little? Disinterest. High-value men understand that equilibrium. They use brief pauses to redirect tension and small glances to reset the emotional tone. It's a subtle, almost invisible skill, but the results are tangible. During group discussions, they don't dart between people. Instead, they anchor their attention. They look at the speaker with interest, and when it's their turn, they scan slowly, letting others feel included, not inspected. Cultural awareness matters too. In some circles, prolonged eye contact can be seen as disrespectful. The high-value man adapts to the room, reads the dynamics, and adjusts his gaze accordingly. It's not about imposing a technique. It's about reading people and responding with intention. In every environment, eye contact tells a story. The man who uses it wisely never has to raise his voice. His attention becomes his influence. A high-value man doesn't dress to impress, he dresses to align. His appearance matches his intent, not someone else's expectation. He knows his presence begins before he speaks, and what he wears is part of his message. Clothing isn't about trends, it's about signals. A well-fitted blazer, clean shoes, and intentional choices show he values himself. He doesn't overdress to dominate or underdress to downplay. He lands exactly where he needs to. It's precision, not flash. In business, one man shows up in the standard office polo. Another walks in with a crisp jacket, subtle accessories, and attention to grooming. The difference isn't money, it's effort. The room reads that effort instantly. One fades into the norm, the other becomes memorable. At a social event, it's not about being the flashiest dresser. It's about quiet polish. Neutral tones, structured layers, and clean lines carry more presence than loud colors ever could. His clothing isn't screaming, it's speaking fluently. Even small details matter. A watch that fits well, a belt that matches the shoes, a shirt that rests right on the shoulders. These are cues. Together, they build a look that others instinctively respect. Style isn't vanity, it's a declaration, without a single word. There's a kind of respect that doesn't come from talking. It comes from hearing others clearly. High-value men understand that silence, when paired with focused attention, carries weight. People remember how you made them feel heard more than what you said. In any conversation, most people listen to reply. They wait for their turn, nod impatiently, or interrupt with opinions. The man who listens with stillness, who gives space without rushing in, stands out immediately. His restraint signals depth. Picture a networking event where everyone's pitching themselves, trying to dominate the room. One person, instead of talking, asks meaningful questions. He stays engaged, not checking his phone, not scanning the crowd. Afterward, others remember him, not because he said a lot, but because he gave them a rare moment of undivided attention. Even in tense settings, listening earns control. During a disagreement, reacting impulsively is easy. But a man who lets someone speak fully, who responds only after pausing to absorb the meaning, changes the entire tone. It de-escalates tension. It draws others in. People trust those who think before they speak. Non-verbal cues matter here too. Slight nods, eye contact, a relaxed jaw. These subtle signals show your presence. You're not passively absorbing, you're actively interpreting. That makes others feel respected, even if you never say much. In leadership, this skill is gold. A manager who listens more than he lectures often builds deeper loyalty. Team members sense that their ideas are valued, and when he finally gives input, it lands with impact. Listening doesn't mean being silent, it means being intentional with what you allow in. And when you choose to respond, the man who listens well holds a rare kind of power. He creates space where others lower their guard, and that space becomes his influence. True influence isn't earned in moments, it's built in patterns. High-value men don't just make strong first impressions, they reinforce them through consistent behavior. This isn't about perfection, it's about predictability. People respect what they can rely on. Consider the man who always shows up prepared. He doesn't promise more than he can deliver, but when he commits, he follows through without reminders or excuses. Over time, this reliability becomes a form of quiet dominance. Others turn to him when pressure hits, not because he asked for responsibility, but because he's proven he can handle it. In relationships, consistency builds emotional security. When your reactions are steady, your values don't shift with the crowd, and your actions match your words. People feel anchored around you. You become the one others trust during chaos, not the loudest voice, but the most stable one. Routine plays a role too. Waking up early, maintaining physical discipline, or staying sharp in your work. These habits aren't for show. They create internal structure that eventually radiates outward. You don't need to speak your routines, your posture, energy, and focus. Make it clear. High-value men also hold firm boundaries, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that teaches others how to treat them. When you're consistent in how you handle disrespect, interruptions, or manipulation, people adjust. You don't have to assert dominance. Your standards do it for you. Even socially, consistency pays off. The man who's calm one day and unpredictable the next sends mixed signals. But the one who's composed across situations earns silent trust, from colleagues, friends, and strangers alike. Power that lasts doesn't flash. It shows up again and again until no one questions it anymore. That's what consistency creates. A reputation so steady, you no longer need to prove yourself. Theory only matters if it works when it counts. High-value men don't rely on hypothetical principles. They apply presence, consistency, and awareness where it matters most. Here's how subtle influence plays out in the real world. At a strategy session with senior leadership, several team members compete to speak. One person sits silently, listening carefully, taking notes without fidgeting. When he finally speaks, he offers a sharp, concise observation. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't raise his voice, but his insight reframes the entire conversation. No one remembers the loudest voice in the room. They remember the one who shifted direction with a single grounded point. That's control through composure. She's used to fast talkers, overconfident energy, and men who try too hard to impress. Then she meets someone who speaks slowly, listens fully, and asks thoughtful questions. His posture is relaxed, his tone is even, and he isn't trying to win her over. He's simply present. By the end of the night, she's drawn in, not by flash, but by how he made her feel seen without needing validation. In a crowded room of self-promoters, one man moves deliberately. He doesn't force his way into groups. Instead, he stands with an open posture, observes calmly, and speaks with clarity when engaged. His handshake is firm but unhurried, and he doesn't rush to hand out a business card. People are curious about him. They approach him, not the other way around. His silence creates intrigue. His confidence makes space. Tensions rise at a dinner table. Accusations fly, emotions run high. Everyone's speaking over each other, defending their stance. One person doesn't raise his voice or take sides. He listens. His facial expression doesn't betray frustration. When he finally responds, his tone is level, his words measured. The room softens. People adjust. He didn't dominate, he stabilized. That's leadership without a title. He doesn't need to wear flashy gear or carry himself like a spectacle. He's focused. He uses equipment properly, wipes down his station, and maintains awareness of others around him. His movements are efficient, his body language quiet but deliberate. Others subconsciously mirror his discipline. His respect for space and time earns him unspoken recognition. These are not performances, they're patterns. High-value men don't change behavior for effect. They maintain presence regardless of who's watching. Their strength is internal, their influence felt even in silence. And that's what sets them apart in every room they enter. High-value men don't compete for attention. They control energy through presence, discipline, and calm. They speak with intention, move with purpose, and make others feel the shift when they enter a space. The power isn't in being loud or forceful, it's in knowing you don't have to be. From how you stand to how you listen, these subtle habits shape how others treat you. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned through what you consistently show, especially when no one's watching. So ask yourself this: what impression are you leaving behind? If you found value in this breakdown of quiet influence, consider subscribing. I'm working toward reaching 1,000 subscribers, and your support genuinely helps me grow this channel. There's more coming, more tactics, more real talk, and more tools for building presence without pretending. Hit that button and start walking into every room like you already belong there.